Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. We were talking about Volume 7, Episode 4. Does that make us like a third of the way through the volume now? I am the captain of cringe mediocrity 4.
This week on RWBY Volume 4, Jock flies out to the middle... Volume 7. Jock flies out to the middle of nowhere just to try to ground his daughter.
Real dad hours this week.
You still haven't said your name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm high-powered. And unfortunately, this episode isn't sponsored by Campbell's tomato juice. As I discussed to everyone by drinking it straight out of the bottle.
I am only here to make sure High-Powered remembers to tell people his name. I am Dude.
And I am the King's Guard. I am Robert.
Oh, thanks. Wait, no, I said I'm the captain. So this episode was... I'm not going to say filler, because important things did kind of happen in this episode.
And there was more
important things were discussed and set up.
Yeah, it was definitely... I wouldn't even call set... I mean, there were things that were setting up for at least one future plot thread, but I feel like this was more of a debrief. I feel like this was more a debrief after last week's action-heavy episode.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the Thanksgiving episode that we got in Volume 5, except for that episode done right.
I wouldn't
like it's what that episode maybe should have been.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go as far as saying done right, but definitely better.
I think it's... I get what you're saying because of like their kind of mini celebration and having food, but other than that, it's really not very similar. It's a completely different thing that they're celebrating. They're celebrating getting their huntsman licenses, which is so different than what they were doing before. And
they were kind of like in that one they were kind of saying like, oh hey, look at how far we've come, and you know, in the very ham-fisted way. In this one, it's like, no, you actually have come very far, but. I don't know. It made me think of that episode, but it is definitely very different. And you know, this was a decent episode. So yeah, but, I don't know.
It still feels like everything's being done very competently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I like. I only have one possible issue, but that's not clear yet, and I'll address that later.
Yeah. I have a couple of things that I'm kind of iffy on, but yeah.
There's a few things I really... There's three things I liked in this episode.
Yeah.
And the first one is something that will, like, actually just lead right into the episode is, so...
Go for it.
As they walk out, and, you know, we get that nice shot of Amity Coliseum, or whatever the fuck it's called, being towed into, over the quarry. You know, the whole, like, Thunder Thighs jokes gets dropped with Nora, and... Ren picks her up like she's a cardboard cutout, but then the question gets dropped by Ruby to the Aesop's team. It's like, oh yeah, y'all must be great friends and stuff.
Well, actually, and before that, something that I kind of liked was that we got the Aesops coming out, and we got Ruby and Jean both geeking out over, which, like, I don't know. I like that bit because it makes sense that those two would be the ones getting all excited because they're the two that, like, actually wanted to be huntsmen. Like, they're the ones that are like, yeah, this is what we want to be. This is what we've, you know, or what our goal was to become, and this is really cool. And then Nora's just there because she is completely incapable of having any chill. I don't know. Like, I know it was kind of goofy and part of that cringe humor that we were talking about, but I think I don't know. It works with their characters.
I think it works for their characters. I guess I will bring up my little gripe with this episode then now, because like the thing that is always weird to me is like how Nora is clearly like upset at Ren for not noticing her, and then everything seems fine like moments later.
Yeah.
Like, I just need them to address that. It's fine in this episode because of everything else that was happening, and it is in Nora's character to geek out over weapons and like try to be friends with her, all that kind of stuff. Like that all makes sense. It does at least harken back to original Renora, where Nora's crazy and Ren's just like resigned to being the straight man and like picking her up and carrying her off. Like that did make me laugh, right? And that does remind me of the stuff we liked about early RWBY. That's what made us like, at least for me, that's what made me like, besides the weapons, that's what made me like volumes 1 and 2 at all. Like, was that kind of stuff.
And the cute anime girls.
Speak for yourself, Hypard.
Oh, Media, did you like that image that I sent you a bit ago?
Hold on, let's stay on track for a second. Hold on, I'm not done yet.
I probably did.
I only had to pause to cough. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. But the thing is, if they don't address like the actual tension, then I'm going to be really annoyed. I'm fine with it not being addressed in this episode because everything else that was happening, and it makes sense. I don't mind. However, next episode, one of the things I liked about this episode is that they're setting up people going off on their own, like in smaller groups. And I usually like how that works, right? If they don't address that, this is when you address that.
Yeah.
And not just Renora. Like, you need to address the Bumblebee-ness too. Whether it's Bumblebee or it ends up Black Sun, I don't care, again. But you need to address the sexual tension because it's clearly there. You cannot just set it up. Don't... Look, new writers. So far, I like you. Okay, so far you're doing, honestly, a better job than Miles and Carrie did. Right? However, you need to actually address this shit and not try to be standard anime bullshit, okay?
Yeah.
Where you're trying to make the characters all seem available. We're a Western audience, we don't need that dumbass shit, okay? So address it, and at least begin addressing it, both of them, next episode. It's not just about, because I love Renora, although that's part of it, but you need to address both of those relationships because they're both clearly need addressing. You cannot just ignore them. That's not good writing. Yeah. So far, it's fine. Like, I understand why it wasn't addressed. I think they're setting it up to be addressed. And whether it's like Ren and Nora together, or like, what if Ren goes with Blake, or Ren goes with Yang or something, and they talk about, and then Nora talks to Ruby about her some shit, right? That's fine too. You can have people, they don't have to be together to talk about, like, that would almost be better. Nobody ever talks to each other about this stuff. I'd like to see that. But just please actually do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the setup, but now pay it off. Pay it off, please.
Yeah. So the first thing that happens, so we have now Amity Coliseum coming in. We get the shot of these two like scouts looking at it. One of them's a lamb faunus.
She's actually pretty
adorable land faunus.
I heard someone say that
I would do wholesome things to her.
High power, you want to do wholesome things with anybody.
What is this wholesome you speak of?
Yeah.
Conquering with my penis.
I'm surprised High Powered even knows how to say that word.
But
so I heard someone like compare the pin that the lamb faunus has to the one Clover has. It's not the same pin, but who knows?
I heard people were comparing it to.
If there is some connection, then that's actually like really interesting and really cool on Ironwood's part because of what happens just a minute later. So everyone comes out of the Schnee dust mine. For some reason, Ruby, Jean, and Nora are geeking out. Not a fan of the comedy in this episode. I think that's its biggest downfall.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
I didn't mind it,
but still, it makes sense to me given what we know. Like,
this is the humor we expect.
Like what we've talked about, you know, Ruby and Jean are the two who wanted to be huntsmen, basically are the only two who wanted to be huntsmen for the sake of being huntsmen. So them, you know, fanboying, fangirling over these guys, and you know, Nora just being completely incapable of having any chill about anything. It fits with their characters. I do understand though that it is kind of corny, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know. I agree. I agree with Robert because I enjoyed that about the early parts of the show. Like, I think I don't think it completely takes away the seriousness. Of everything that's
exactly the comparison I made in my review, and it's something I didn't like about those early volumes. This really does feel like the same comedy as volume 1, especially, and to a lesser extent volume.
So I can understand not liking it, like the comedy aspect of it, but I appreciate it for the for the character consistency aspect, I guess that like I can understand why it's these two, but yeah, I understand that the comedy is cringy. So yeah, sorry.
I don't mind a little bit of cringe. I don't mind a little bit of cringe sometimes. If it's a little bit.
I don't know.
And I don't even think it was that cringy, honestly. Again, like it just reminds me of what their personalities were always been like anyway. So to me, it wasn't even truly cringy. But I get what you're saying. If you don't like it, I can understand why.
I think there were other bits of comedy that were worse. I would say.
I think the rest of the
this to me was just Ruby and Jean being in character.
Yeah, I mean the most cringy thing happened later, and we'll definitely have to get to that when we get to that. So I do really like selfies. I do like the idea that the Aesops aren't really friends and that they were literally just like put together.
I love that.
Like last minute, like they did it because they're obviously not the same age. Like they refer to Marrow as the rookie on the character cards and shit. So they're obviously not a team that's been together since the academy days, and that forms like an interesting parallel between like Ozpin's philosophy of teamwork versus Ironwood's philosophy of teamwork, and how Ironwood's might be more effective.
I was gonna say,
it might be more effective, but it comes at the cost of that like camaraderie and those emotional bonds that are the quote unquote key to the simple soul stuff that is the key to defeating Salem in the end.
I have a question though.
I guess I just have a bit of a I don't know. Like I can understand the idea of like none of these guys were these guys probably like odds are none of these guys were on the same went to the academy together. They probably weren't on the same team together. Ironwood was just all like, okay, the Aesops have it. Like, they were probably getting ready to graduate, and Ironwood was just like, okay, the Aesops have an opening. You interested? Cool. You're going to go to France. We'll see how you go with the rest of the team and stuff.
It's just, it makes more, like, there's a part of me that thinks, like, is there anyone on, like the main, like, Rooster Teeth staff that's, like, a veteran of, like, Iraq or
Jeff Ramsey?
Jeff Ramsey is.
Yeah. So, I mean, they probably could have asked him, because, like, the way that team's put together, it sounds a lot like how SEAL selection works, basically, where it's like, you guys are, like, the best, so y'all are gonna have to work together now, so start running laps.
Yeah, so
I can kind of understand that, but at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the fact that there's, like, no battle bond whatsoever, it's like, I don't know.
Well, there is, but it's different.
I don't know much about military, and maybe this is just, like, what I watch from, I don't know, maybe this is just too much TV and stuff like that I watch, but I feel like there should be something of a bond there that is like...
I think there is. I just think that it's a much more, like, work relationship, like what we all might have with our colleagues at work and stuff, and
I think it's
and obviously because the show is called RWBY, it's gonna err more on the side of Ruby and the power of friendship in the end anyway. Like this lack of a familial bond that goes beyond the battlefield might end up being what causes the Aesops to dissolve in the end. Like there's been a lot of people saying that like, oh, they're either gonna die or there's gonna be a traitor or both, and that lack of like genuine friendship that goes outside of the work environment is what's going to cause that.
Or beyond the Call of Duty.
Yes, exactly.
but no, so like personally, like I don't see any issue with it. I like because it's a good
dynamic.
I
understand that it's like setting them up as further foils for our heroes. The difference, which is cool.
Yeah, right after, like literally, if you're watching this as like the Blu-ray or DVD version, this scene that contrasts the Aesops with Team Ruby and Juniper comes right after the parallels in which they are similar. Yeah, that's actually really good structure.
Yeah, and they're even still kind of building on similarities between them with like, Jean gravitating towards Clover like, hey man, you're pretty, cool. And then we later get like Ren's similarity to...
White guy?
Yeah.
Hello, fellow Alpha Chad. Want to go impregnate some women?
Yeah. And then like Rand's, a lot like Vine in that they're both, these kind of quiet guys. But
what if Jean just walked up to Clover and started singing, "Teach me how to Chad, teach me how to Chad"?
Hey!
Oh no, that song's gonna get stuck in my head now.
Damn you.
You're welcome.
Mold me.
Mold me in your Chad image.
I do not like that phrasing.
Yeah. Mold me so that I may mold women's insides. No. Sorry.
Sounds like something from one of my hentais.
So then Ruby wants to explore, and Weiss is like, "Ruby, we just explored an entire continent, even though you're actually the only one who explored an entire continent."
Yeah, no, that was Team Ranger. Yeah, no, that was Team Ranger Weiss. Not
that
you.
joke was funny.
Yeah,
I did like that, even though like I can see Weiss saying that, even though she's not the one.
I love the new writers making fun of Miles and Carrie, because that's like the second time they've done that.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that, because it lets me know that they know that they're gonna that there's issues that they're going to fix. I like that.
And Miles
and Carrie never did that.
And I don't.
Miles and Carrie would say, "We know we're doing stuff wrong." They would never tell you what they're actually doing wrong.
Well, they did in Volume 6, where they were all like, "Oh, we're finally getting out of this house." But,
that's true. They did do that once.
So, I don't care that Weiss didn't explore an entire continent on foot, because she flew from Atlas to Mistral, then got dragged by bandits, then took a portal to Mistral City, and then
took a train
and
then walked maybe 5 miles
to Brunswick Farm, and then took motorcycle cart to Argus, and then airship from Argus to Atlas. I don't care that she didn't explore on foot. The fact that she's just like taking the piss out of Ruby and just shooting her down is great.
Yeah. I do feel like that might be, I don't know, like this whole thing of, I think it's possible that maybe this whole thing of like, the Aesops being like, "Oh no, we don't really have time for friends in our line of work," and then the whole idea of and then this whole thing where Ruby tries to like, "Okay, let's go out and bond as a team." Nah, we're good. I feel like that might be foreshadowing like a potential brief split later on, maybe. But
here's the other thing too.
Weiss in particular is wanting to be much more like the Aesops and more professional, whereas Ruby's like all power, friendship, and
here's kind of
something like that, and then just
burn some time up on is like, like kind of a little bit whenever they're alone. It's like Blake is like doing like I kind of want to see like a little bit of their hobbies, like if they're all separate. Like Ruby's trying to catch up on her like trash anime comics. Yang is like attempting to disassemble and reassemble her arm to figure out how it works so she can make it better or do something to it. Weiss
apparently
is
like
we catch Weiss like
is to be believed.
We catch Weiss like singing to herself or something. I kind of feel like it'd be nice to have those little things in the series, like just to have some hobbies of like the main characters, because like all we get is like them being like as a whole unit per se.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So next up,
first of all,
Clover
calls over Clover.
Clover gets assigned to investigate what's going on in Mantle, and this is why I thought the idea that his pendant is somehow connected to the sheep faunus would be interesting, because what if Clover is from Mantle and is a supporter of Robin Hill, and Ironwood knows that, and that's why he assigned Clover specifically to investigate this case.
Yeah, to look into her or something. Maybe he's... Yeah, I was thinking like maybe he's spying either for Hill or for Ironwood, but...
Or just a bridge between
I mean, I don't think
maybe
that matters,
or maybe, he's just trying to bridge the gap between them, like, let her know,
this episode...
really not such a bad guy.
We may not like each other, but we don't like dead civilians showing up in the gutter.
I mean, we'll get into it more later, but like, this episode really clarified that Ironwood doesn't really give a fuck about this election, because it's not against him. He's still going to have 2 seats on the council. He's just going to have opposition on the other end. And if
yeah,
it really
which I mean, kind of makes sense because neither side really likes him. So
because both Jacques and Robin aren't the biggest Ironwood fans,
yeah,
he's not going to benefit from either of them winning. Really, like it's just
And
going to
he's
be another person on the council that doesn't like him that he has to use both of his seats to vote against.
Yeah. And he's pretty confident that Jacques gonna lose, Jacques is gonna lose and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
that is
maybe that's his goal with Clover is like, I know I'm not gonna make it good with Jacques, and honestly, I don't even think he's gonna win. So see if you can find me an in with Hill.
Yeah, or like because maybe he thinks Hill is a lot more reasonable, or that if she wins because she's a huntress and stuff and she'll be on the council, he can let her in on the secret and let her know like why he's doing the things he's doing. Whereas Jacques will try to use that information to screw him over and just get more power.
Yeah. To bury him. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what's going to end up happening anyway because of what happens at the end of this episode.
Yeah, that's kind of the plot implication of the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And then, speaking about Jacques and having balls of steel, local man has the audacity to just land his fucking ship in the middle of a top secret Elysian operation. What a fucking mad lad.
Also,
why did you steal my place? It's like, dude, you abandoned this place. What do you care?
Hold on, no,
he probably still owns the land.
Rewind.
Go ahead.
Because I gotta point out.
Rewind time.
I fucking love. So on this episode, when he's like team leaders over here, this guy you got killed in his forest. The headline doesn't even give him a last name. Said murder body.
He's just Forest.
Town Mantle.
Oh yeah, I like how. I also think it's kind of funny that it refers to him as like leaders or political leaders. It's like, what was this guy the leader of or something like that? But
he was
the local drinking club.
He was obviously big enough to like be arrested and put in the same car as Huntsman. So
I guess so. But like all they say is like you threw a brick at our ship. But yeah, I don't know. I do think I actually thought it was kind of weird that Jean decides to take that opportunity. Where I don't know. First of all, I think it's kind of interesting that Ironwood suspects that we talked about this last week, that perhaps they're trying to frame Ironwood for taking out his opposition.
Being an authoritarian. Yeah. Which he kind of is, but
they kind of talked about the possibility of, Ironwood potentially, or that Tyrion might be trying to frame Ironwood. And Ironwood's kind of like, it seems like someone's trying to frame me. It's like, I don't know, is Ironwood just being arrogant with making that assumption, or is it maybe like both get him and Hill, or out of the way maybe in one fell swoop or something? But yeah.
And so then, Jean questions it, which I get it. Jean has been kind of antagonistic towards authority figures before, especially Crowe and Osmond.
Yeah. It works, but it's like, dude, he could shoot you.
I mean, this feels more like something Weiss or Blake should say, but Weiss and Blake aren't team leaders and aren't being notified of this.
And aren't there is also the main thing.
Jean is the only one who really fits the bill, I guess.
Yeah.
And then
will openly bring up this crap. Kind of feels like he should have brought it up too. Like the time to bring this up was 2 episodes ago, because it's like, why he's doing these things, Sean. But I don't know. But maybe he's still a little bit bitter and a little bit concerned about the whole thing.
This is the first time that anyone has shown up. Any of Ironwood's critics have turned up dead.
That's also
in this volume. So then Jacques comes down like a bat out of hell, starts talking to Ironwood before the door is even open.
It's like, I didn't hear that first part. What was that? Basically goes down for a dick measuring contest. But
you see, for me, like with this scene, I actually kind of wished, like, instead of Jacques rolling up, it's just like his attorney or whatever with like a bunch of bodyguards, and then she just throws like the little hologram puck out in front of her.
Yeah,
and that's how the conversation happens. And then, like, I don't like how he just rolls up by himself. It's like, why doesn't he have, like, an Elysian death, like, what's the Sneak Dust Company TM branded, registered and trademarked Death Squad that he rolls up with? He just shows up by himself.
I mean, he probably figures that that if he just sends a representative, they'll kick them out or something like that. He's like, I'm the only one that could show up that they will actually, even entertain
like,
for even a minute.
Why isn't he showing up with guards with him? That's what he's asking.
Oh, okay, that's
because that's the two things that like Rudolph Hess and I talked about. It's like, first of all, why is he showing up? Why did he just send like a lawyer or something to show up? Or why is he showing up without
the reason
his
he showed up
is
so we can interact with Weiss. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, that's
the reason why he showed up was because he wanted to talk to Ironwood face to face.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do like, by the way, how in his entire conversation...
You gotta remember, he's a boomer. He doesn't like to use technology if he doesn't have to. He wants to have conversations face to face.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't properly measure dicks when you're not face to face.
There you go.
Cracks to Dust Zero Ultra.
Yeah.
Man.
Or talk down to your daughter.
Life was good before the embargo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to point out. This just humored me because I don't know where they're going with the political angles of this. I can only assume based on their Twitter feeds, but Ironwood seizing Jacques' private property for a military operation sounds a lot like socialism to me.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I've seen that comparison, and I
know with Ironwood they're going more fascist, but that just points out the similarities that, fascism is actually just another flavor.
Fascism is just right-wing socialism.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it right-wing. Well, that's because, right-wing, left-wing aren't really a thing in the global scale.
Yeah. I have been saying, by the way, I think my biggest fear with Hill is that she's going. Well, I don't know. Never mind. I'm not gonna talk too much about the politics, but yeah.
I mean, we still don't know. We still haven't.
We don't actually know. I'm not gonna assume right now.
I can assume shit.
Robin Hill could be like super fucking libertarian woman for all we.
Or she's just like, I just want everyone to have jobs and not be found dead in the gutter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My biggest fear with Hill is that she's gonna have a really sleazy husband who she very obviously only stays with for his political pull, who cheats on her all the time, and her happy huntresses are gonna be these ambiguously brown white anime waifus whose melodrama just proves how disingenuous they are. Like, that is my biggest fear.
My husband leaked all of my emails by accident on his laptop.
No, the real meme would be if Robin Hill has a financial advisor who winds up dead and is ruled as suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I haven't seen anything to like make me wary yet, to be honest.
Neither have I. Yeah, that's just my fear, but so far it has been completely unfounded, and I am very happy with that. So
yeah, I'm well aware
that was just a joke. But
I'm well aware of the fact that writers can, if they so desire, write outside of their own political worldview if they get their ass. So we don't know.
Yeah, and so they yeah. But so I also like that during this entire conversation that, so Jacques goes over to Weiss, and I love how he never calls her by name once. He just refers to her as like my daughter or you, basically, or I think he calls her like girl at one point. He never calls her by name, which has me thinking his falling out with her was probably more harsh than his falling out with Winter, because he name drops her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, here's my thing. Like, this whole scene is basically Jacques is literally just flying out there to like try to like shit talk Ironwood and ground his daughter. That's literally all this conversation is, and I love it. It's great. Jacques has really good line delivery this entire time.
This is the most real scene of the volume so far, and one of the most real scenes of the entire show. speaking from experience, this is how people talk to their kids when they're trying to control them. Like he starts the guilt, the blame passing, the guilt tripping. When he brings
your
up
mother
her
was
mother.
so
Mom.
was had
Yeah,
such a hard time.
That's real.
I love that.
Yeah, it was great. Like,
I love it because of how
Jock is
fucked
like
up it
the
is.
star of this episode. He really is.
He is very good at being that guy you love to hate, and it works. Like,
Oh yeah, totally working.
Yeah, and which brings me to the oh my god, Monochrome is back for a brief minute as
It reared its
Blake
ugly
holds Weiss's
head,
hand,
and I'm okay with this.
totally not making a ship canon because in Volume 6, 2 characters holding hands was enough to confirm a ship as canon apparently, but now it's not. So,
yeah,
double standards.
Because it's not one of the main ships.
Not one of the favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of.
I remember coming.
It's nice. It's nice that Blake is there giving, that they're all there giving Weiss support. But yeah,
I mean just remember, I'm the person that
I love Monochrome. It's rough for me because I love Monochrome. I think, if I were to just take these characters and these concepts and rewrite the entire show, that would be the ship I would lean towards.
Yeah.
As media is autistically smashing his Weiss and Blake anime figures together.
Well, and
all Darth Helmet.
Weiss and Blake just haven't had very many interactions after that first volume, where they had a lot of interactions together. More so than Yang and any other character. Like, remember at the end of Volume 1 when Blake freaked out and ran away, and Ruby kind of chased after her, and it was Weiss's fault, and all Yang did was sit there and stare off into space? Yeah,
yep.
I remember that.
Those are good times. Much simpler times.
Again, I agree with the people saying it doesn't confirm a shit because I'm the person who called that Renora was not actually confirmed after Volume 4.
Yes.
Now,
right.
I didn't want to be right about that, but I knew I was, and as so far I've been, obviously I've been proven correct about that. So it's just, it's all the people wanting to jump to conclusions that anything is confirmed just because of any little moment.
Yeah,
but that's why they need to address all these things.
But
they
only
need
with
to address it all.
That's the double standard. I'm totally fine with declaring, Weiss and Blake's handholding as just a friendly gesture. But that would also make Blake and Yang's handholding just a friendly gesture, which is what I called it as, and got called a homophobe for. So, oh god, and the sigh of relief that Weiss has when he finally leaves.
Yep.
Just
good animation
to my soul. Just speaks to my soul. That's been me so many times.
And then Winter shows up like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
She's like, I missed him on purpose.
Yeah. Winter basically is like, oh, I am not going over there until he is gone.
Oh no, the car's stuck in first gear and in low range. Darn, it can't go any faster.
Yeah.
As the co-driver is just sitting there looking at it, and as the shift lock keep button has been pressed.
Yeah. She's just like, we're gonna stay right here for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then
Penny dive bombs them.
Penny dive bombing. Blake does this feral cat jump like she did when she first saw Zulai. It's great.
An in-between frame. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they head to Amity Coliseum to do the pomp and circumstance part of this episode, giving them their license.
I like how they're all bored. Like, they just got out of the DMV and they're like, oh, cool, I have my driver's license now. Oh, look, there's fucking cake. Let's go get some cake.
Yeah. I mean, it is true, though, kind of what they said, that it does kind of feel like more of a formality at this point, but it is at the same time a way of letting us know that, I guess, kind of letting us know that, yes, this is them being recognized as professionals now, and also letting us know they're not going back to school. So,
Yeah,
which is nice. That was important.
I don't know. I do like the like. This is a bit of humor that I think was more subtle, and it's like I don't know. It's funny, but not for the reasons I think they think it's funny, which is Penny and Winter have a very similar dynamic to Ruby and Weiss. Like Winter's basically there to get Penny to stop, to like restrain Penny when she's spazzing out, and basically to like, grab her when she's like spazzing out and all that. And I think that's, I don't know, pretty funny and pretty cute, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, it makes me want to see a lot more of Penny and Winter together.
I know, right? Yeah, see them.
Also really
not a dynamic I ever thought would happen.
Yeah,
but it's something that we got, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain.
I also like kind of how uncomfortable they are, like getting their licenses. Like I like how they're not like excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the equivalent of getting a GED because, and I mentioned this in my review. So there seems to be two schools of thought as far as using Amity as the location of this, and I like it because Amity Coliseum is a place that was built by all four kingdoms, and has been mobile and like a mobile facility for the last however many decades since it's been built. And so, like, Team Ruby and Juniper, they never graduated from an academy. They only went to Beacon for a single year, and then scattered across the world, reconvened at Mistral, saved Haven Academy, and then trekked halfway across the continent to Argus, and then helped save the city of Argus. Also, may or may not have caused the problems in Argus. But I mean, if we can forgive JFK for the Cuban Missile Crisis, we can forgive them for Argus.
Hey.
And so then, and then they get to Atlas. They help like fight the Saber Cats in Mantle, and then this mission where they performed admirably, and Ruby even managed to outpace Harriet at one point. That's worth their license. Like they proved that they are already like.
They've got the real world experience
skill wise, experience wise, just overall combat prowess wise.
Yeah.
They are some of the best huntsmen in the world, and they proved that really in the fall of or in the Battle of Haven, which is a battle I don't think they should have won, or at least not should have won with those odds stacked against them. If I were rewriting Volume 5, I would have had less villains show up at the Battle of Haven. That way, the victory would have been not only earned, but also more believable. Like I wouldn't have had Hazel show up. I would have had Hazel. I would have saved Hazel for a different arc.
And it's reasonable also to assume that Ironwood has been debriefed, probably by Crowe, off screen also.
Yeah,
possibly.
And I pointed this out last episode. I'm pretty sure I talked about this last podcast, which is what sets the Ace Ops apart from, Team RWBY and all these other guys isn't necessarily that they're stronger or more skilled or like necessarily, I guess for lack of a better term, like better, is that they're more experienced and they know what to do. It's like in My Hero Academia, you had this bit where I think it was like the training camp arc, where they've got to make it to the camp through these woods full of like these different monsters that have been set up.
Yeah.
And immediately out of the gate, Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, and
Ida.
Yeah, Ida all shoot right out of the gate and immediately attack and immediately set them apart. And they do that because they have experience. Three of these guys fought Stain. These like. And like the entire reason why Class 1A in My Hero Academia stands out so much is because
of the League of Villains at the end of season.
Yeah, exactly. It's because they fought the League of Villains. So they've got this real world experience that nobody else has, and that is what is setting Team RWBY and Juniper Jr. apart from any other students that Ironwood might currently be training. Is experience.
You know what it actually reminds me of? Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There's that one bit, and I think the Clone Wars movie actually, where Ahsoka's like, don't I, as a Jedi, don't I technically outrank you? And Captain Rex is like, experience outweighs everything.
Yeah, exactly. So even though Ahsoka could probably kill him with a thought. Yeah. Exactly. So these guys. Yeah, exactly. So these guys have.
Can we talk about The Mandalorian and how excited I am for the new Clone Wars episodes? Oh my god!
Oh man,
dude,
I caught up on
the Mandalorian is over. We will talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, he was like, it's a Star Wars Western. I'm like, okay, first of all, Star Wars was already a Western.
Yes,
Star Wars was always a space Western. This is just more of a Western.
Yeah.
This is a Star Wars spaghetti Western almost. This is like. This is like a Clint, it's like a Clint Eastwood movie, not a movie Clint Eastwood directed, a movie that stars Clint Eastwood.
And sometime probably in like January or something when this volume wraps up, we'll do some Clone Wars podcast leading up to volume or season 7.
Yeah, that's required.
Yeah,
that's absolutely required because that show is so fucking good, and Ahsoka is the best.
Yeah. So in response to
really
the question
hot in Rebels, just to let y'all know.
Well, and it also Jesus. So and it also, as far as RWBY goes, it goes back to something Crowe said in volume 3, when he said, a week out there is worth a semester in here.
Or he said a day out there is like a week in here.
A day out there is like a week in here.
I mean, it feels like they kind of forgot about that in volume 5, but.
No, I think they remembered it a little too well in Volume 5, which is why they didn't get their asses absolutely kicked.
I feel like if they'd remembered that in Volume 5, then John would then I don't know.
Well, they won.
Then Team Ranger would be better than Weiss, Blake, and Yang.
Well, also you would think that if they, by that logic, Adam wouldn't have gotten bitch slapped the way he did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
so no one came out of the Battle of Haven looking skilled. No one. Not even supposedly top tier huntsman killer Hazel just looked like a big punchy guy who was just a punching bag.
A bad wrestling heel is what Hazel was in Volume 5.
There we go. Yeah. So in response to, I saw a few people questioning wait, how are they graduates now? How do they, qualify for this experience? They have, real world experience.
I've seen more people complain about this just being a formality. Even the characters are just like, wow, this is literally just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Well, here's something.
It kind of makes sense, but it is one. I don't know.
The only plot relevant thing that it does is it keeps them from getting their ass kicked by the Aesops again
or arrested.
That's
the only real thing it does.
And this is true both in fantasy and in real life. Never underestimate the power of the bureaucracy gang, because their power is real. This is it.
Yeah, that driver's license is also just a piece of paper until you get pulled over.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then it goes from you getting a ticket to going to fucking jail. Is the
then it turns into
they basically just go
that costs you a lot of time and money.
Yeah, and like I said, they basically just go from this to internships is basically where they seem to be headed now, kind of. But but I do.
Most important thing is that the fact that they're not going back to school.
Yeah.
Also,
and I do like that. I do also like. Go ahead.
I said you go.
Okay, I do also like that it's taking place in Amity Coliseum, because from a storytelling perspective, Amity Coliseum is where we had what was essentially the inciting incident for everything that has happened in the show for everything that's happened since
halfway through Volume 3.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that's happened started with what happened here in Amity Coliseum. This is where their journeys began, so it makes sense that they would meet back here to, be recognized and be elevated. And again, because apparently some people have not gotten the memo, that very important thing, that very important event, probably, maybe, I'm going to say probably, the most important event in the show so far was Penny's death. Penny's death where a lot mattered, of complaints even though she's back.
See, I don't agree with these complaints, but I have seen people complain about like the fact that they don't address that. You know, Penny's right there looking like kind of awkward as usual, and I think they were just all over it. I think when Penny came back, they all just had a like, oh, duh, she's a robot. Like that. That's
kind of the way I think about it.
That's how we react.
I feel like the time for an emotional response to it was back in like the very first episode when she first came back. That was the time for it. Yeah. They blew it. They didn't address it then, and now we just got to move on. And yeah, Penny's
and to Penny, she didn't die. Like she was never dead. She does, like she just like
was stuck in a hard drive for a couple months, for like a couple weeks maybe.
If you didn't know that was obvious, kind of what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and so it wouldn't bother her. And which one of these jackasses is gonna bring that up? Hey, Penny, remember the last time you were here? Remember what happened? Which of these jackasses is gonna say that?
Penny's like, I got better. I just like kind of passed out and woke up a few months later.
Better.
Yeah, exactly. Better. I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure it sucked losing that time and stuff like that. But it's like she's a robot. She's gonna live for a while. So it's like I actually think it's pretty funny, honestly, that her death is one of the most important things that has happened in the series so far. Just not necessarily to her.
Yeah, it was basically just someone getting knocked out. Like I actually kind of like that because there's so many different types of stakes you can have outside of characters dying, and I think I don't think RWBY really benefits from this, but it also doesn't work against the show either.
Yeah,
where this really big inciting incident was someone getting comatose, not someone dying. I think it's interesting in that you don't see that a whole lot. You don't see characters going. You see way more characters dying than characters go into coma. Like that makes it unique in the grand scheme of like shonen style battle series.
Yeah. And I just think it's funny. I just think it's really funny to think that her death was so important, just not to her. Well, I don't know. Not entirely to her. I guess it got her a new job. Like
perspective.
Yeah, she got back and she had a job in Mantle afterwards. So it was still a very important thing that happened. It still mattered, and it's fine that she's back. It doesn't hurt the narrative.
Not only is it fine, it would be stupid if she wasn't.
That too. Yeah, exactly. It helps the narrative. So, yeah. So that's the thing. And
it just wouldn't make sense fine with them not back. She's a robot. How could she not come back?
Yeah. And I'm fine with them not talking about it here because, again, Penny doesn't care. She's not the kind, it's not in her character to care, and nobody's going to bring that up.
Yeah, it's not the point either. That's not the point right now.
Also, it's not the point. So,
so then,
because if they were confused or surprised by it, then they'd be fucking stupid.
Yeah, and so then they're given a chance to kind of take a break and have some funny gags as they eat cake. I find Nora's little who says I can't to be kind of obnoxious, but whatever.
Yes,
I like how Penny.
I did kind of like how
Penny. I like how Penny uses her swords to cut the cake. That's actually something I wish more series would do. You have superpowers. Why wouldn't you use it for innocuous bullshit like that?
Yeah. I do also like how awkward.
If I had telekinesis, my first instinct would not be to become a superhero. My first thought would be like, "Oh, thank God! Now I don't have to get up to get my phone off."
Yeah.
Nora's just sitting at the television, and she's just sitting there. It's like, to change the channel.
Yeah. That's me with shadow clones in Naruto, or just being able to multiply in general. It's I would just get a bunch of shit done. That's what I would do.
Just imagine working 8 minimum wage jobs and being rich AF because you worked 8 minimum wage jobs while you sit at your house and do fucking nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, I just get. Exactly. I get a job.
That's not how math works. High powered. You would not be rich as fuck working 8 minimum wage jobs.
But no, I would just go out and do a bunch of stuff. Everyone always thinks, oh, you'd become a supervillain. It's why? No. I do something constructive. I would get so much shit done.
Why don't you just become a legal supervillain and become a politician or a lawyer?
Yeah, especially if you have like something like mind control
or a report. Oh god, being a reporter of mind control. Oh man, that'd be spicy.
Yeah.
Just you can start a newer, better TMZ and make tons of money.
Actually, have like the National Enquirer has a fucking mind reader or mind controller working for him, and he's so good no one actually believes whatever they post, even though it's all true.
Yeah. And Yang does another gag where she like removes her arm. It's not the first time she did that. And then the selfie happens, and this is the most meme.
I think the meme is really funny, but yeah, it was.
I think weird. I think the meme peaked when people started making like 9/11 memes with it.
I don't know. I thought
selfies.
I saw that.
Oh yeah, and they just crop out the background into different
either
stuff.
Either way, it's not as good as Baby Yoda memes. Baby Yoda memes.
Baby ketamine Yoda.
Ketamine.
Yeah.
So I
crush my cock with a rock. Maximum pain I must endure.
Yeah, I just think this was like kind of awkward, kind of cringy, and it wasn't cute. Thing, like Blake here, and it reminded me. What it reminded me of was the locker room scene from Volume 1 with Jean and Weiss.
Oh yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
Too much. You're in my personal space.
Yeah. Like I said in my review, like I listed off good shipping moments, like really good, like heart-to-heart discussions and relationship building moments.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Ruby and Jean. In Volume 1 in the hallway when she gives them the pet talk. Yang and Blake in Volume 2 when Yang shares her backstory and stuff. Blake and Sun on the couch after Sun wakes up after the fight with Ilya. Those are good relationship building moments. This is just a gag.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it in this context, again, because of the setup for the next episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we get all of that in the next episode, then I won't mind. If they did all these dumb gags in this episode and then we don't get any like interpersonal relationships,
it turns out that they are just gags,
then I'm gonna be mad. Then I will totally agree, and I'll be pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then we have a conversation with Crowe and Ruby, and I'm first off, I missed something while doing my review, and Rudder, I think it was you that pointed it out. Because I said that like Ruby hasn't really trusted anyone with the truth.
She trusted Jean, Ren, and Nora with it.
I for some reason I was not remembering them like not being there, or I was thinking that like, oh, that doesn't really count because that was like, when they were still kind of going against Ozpin before like Ozpin revealed that he is actually still there and watching inside Oscar's head, which did happen after that. But yeah, the fact that Ruby even told anyone that wasn't part of the initial group that talked to Jin shows that she is willing to trust people with that information if they earn that trust. And she is still weary of whether she should trust Ironwood and the Aesops with that particular bit of information yet. Which might save her in the end. Again, we don't know. The fact that this question is even being addressed and asked within like both the critic community and the fandom community is for the show's benefit. That's intrigue. That's interesting. That's depth.
And the show's making it very clear that we should be asking about this. We should be wondering about this.
And the characters are also doing the same.
Exactly. So the fact that they're asking about this lets the audience know, yes, you are right to care about this. Feel free to wonder, because that is absolutely what we want you to do. This is going to come up later, so that's good writing.
Calling Ruby a hypocrite isn't a criticism. That's just an observation.
Some people probably mean it as such, but
that's her being a character.
Yeah, it's just stating the obvious.
Personal observation. Yeah, that's just a personal observation that you're turning into an inherent negative when it actually works for the show's benefit.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole.
Now, do I want her to actually act like Ozpin? Fuck no. But like, no. I would rather. It's nice to see Ruby actually like
confront that and ask that.
Yeah.
Like this is where she says the line from the trailer, which it's a corny line, but it's a line that works. The whole I don't know the difference between what's best and what's right. That's where that line comes from, is from this scene.
Yep. Yeah. And in this case, in this context, it makes more, it makes sense that she would be wondering about that. And yeah. And again, it's a very RWBY line. It's a very awkward RWBY line. And yeah. And yeah, it's one of those, I don't know. It kind of makes me think about that bit in, I think I talked about this a little while ago. Someone complaining about how Crowe sounds like he's sober. It's because he is. If RWBY seems like she might be being hypocritical here, yeah. Like maybe she is. She's wondering about it too, but yeah.
So we do.
I'm fine with her doing it as long as she's acknowledging it, and that's what she's doing. So it's okay. It's good.
Yeah. And she's wondering about it, and it's a dilemma that she has. Yeah.
So I do like the whole father-daughter moment that the two share between each other. I like how RWBY asks a question about her mom, which is always kind of I feel like whenever they bring up Summer, it's like, oh, we don't know anything to write about, so they kind of just vomit up something about Summer.
Because Summer is an inherently interesting concept that is actually better left in the background as part of lore and world building, because her death does mean a lot to RWBY and Yang and Crowe. And the fact that she's supposedly this really badass huntress from the past and died, it keeps the stakes high no matter what happens. No matter how many victories the heroes get, no matter how much they end up curb stomping Hazel in Volume 5 and curb stomping Tyrion later in this volume, the stakes are still high because Summer had success like that too, and she still died.
And you can even say the same with Maria too. It's like she was at the peak of the fucking food chain in her age.
Yeah, and she got her fucking eyes cut out by a croc bitch.
I also like that. I also really like that Crowe acknowledges, well, technically we think it was a Summer thing, but Osmond might have been involved. I don't know.
It's we just don't know.
I like the way they acknowledge that.
I would actually like it better if it was Summer just going off on her own for whatever reason. Maybe she found out something.
But I also like that.
Maybe she.
I like the way Crowe said it though. I like that's how Crowe addressed it.
Yeah, because Crowe's not sure of why she went out and did it. She just knows she did a thing, and he talked to Osmond about it, and Osmond was like, I didn't tell her to go do that thing. And so, and then now since Crowe knows that Ozpin is an unreliable character, he's like, well, it could be, it could not be. I just don't know. And I like the honesty between the two in that moment.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Summer knew the previous Spring Maiden. Maybe she went on a mission to infiltrate Haven Academy, get the relic, and find out. Maybe she was the one who asked the first question, because last volume it say that there's only 2 questions left for that century.
We're left she was the one, so she found out ahead of everyone else.
We're left to assume that Ozpin was the one who asked the first question, but could have been Summer on some mission that ended up getting her killed. We don't know, and I don't think it matters. I think we will find out eventually, and it'll be used to try to fuck with RWBY's head, but I don't think it really matters. I don't want a Team Stark. I don't want a Team Stark spinoff, is what I'm saying. I don't think we need it.
And so no, it'd be boring as shit.
But the reason why
I don't like Ty very much, and Raven is unbelievably annoying. So no, God no, please.
Secure would burst in flames if a Team Stark series came out.
I'm not saying Ty's a bad character. I just don't like him.
Yeah. So I think, or the reason why I like that whatever happened to Summer isn't Ozpin's fault is because it once again it diversifies the profile of the show. I'm going to make a comparison to the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. The reason why I don't like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics is because everything begins and ends with Oscorp. The Spider-Man Project, Oscorp. Venom, the Symbiote Project, Oscorp. Green Goblin, Oscorp. Doc Ock, Oscorp. Everything, Oscorp. And it made every single villain who wasn't Norman Osborn padding. The thing that I really like about comic books, especially Spider-Man, is how, or I guess especially Batman, but Spider-Man as well, is the diversity of profiles within the rogues galleries. Every single villain having a different background, a different motivation, a different gimmick, a different reason for fighting Spider-Man, a different reason for sometimes avoiding Spider-Man. And that made those comics interesting to read week to week. When you have just one overarching villain and then a bunch of henchmen, then you have a bunch of henchmen that don't matter because they're not the main villain.
Yeah.
Like Team RWBY is not going to die from Tyrion because he's just a henchman. So
yeah, totally true.
And
somebody,
so I do wonder about
died from Tyrion, but not Team RWBY.
Yeah,
or Team Junior.
Yeah. So they do once again in this conversation say basically that Summer just disappeared and went off the reservation. I know that, Monty said that that Summer Rose is dead, and I don't know. I hate to be I don't know. Do you guys think it's at all possible that maybe they retconned it to decide, nah, she's actually alive, and maybe that's why,
no.
I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with why Salem wants Ruby alive to try and get to Summer Rose through her or something, or I don't know. No? Okay.
No, I hope not. That
I
honestly
hope
would be kind of dumb.
Okay,
because,
fair enough.
Again, having her be alive will even ruin this moment.
Okay.
And being there's a lot more about this world than Ozpin and Salem's endless game of the floor is lava.
God damn it. Ain't that the fucking truth?
Fair enough.
So next we have
and
by the way, Jason Liebrecht. This is the first scene where I really felt Jason Liebrecht was a good replacement for Crowe.
He did very well in this episode.
He did really, really well in this scene in particular.
Yep.
He has a lot of really good chemistry with Lindsay Jones, which was one of Vic Mignogna's biggest strengths as Crowe as well. Honestly, I think Lindsay Jones just has really good chemistry with everyone. I've noticed. She had really good chemistry.
The Jones family are just solid voice actors.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to. As it turns out, Michael and Lindsay Jones are very good at voice acting. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh my god, I cannot. It's really hard to quantify chemistry. It's harder to quantify it with voice actors.
If it's there, you know it. If it's not there, you know it. That's really all it is.
It's even harder to tell with voice actors because you only have their voice to go off of. You don't have you don't have personal staging and visual expressions. Where when you watch a rom-com with bad chemistry, you can feel the cringe. You can feel how uncomfortable the actors are just to be around each other because they don't actually like each other.
I have to what the who? God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with voice actors, it's even harder to tell because you don't have a lot of those physical tells. You just have the voice acting.
That's why Felicia Angel and Josh Greeley are always working together. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Josh Grell. You said it weird. I was like, really?
Is it pronounced Josh Grell?
I thought it was Josh Grell.
It's Grell.
Okay, sorry, Josh Grell and Felicia Angel.
Yeah, Felicia Angel and Josh Grell do a lot of really fantastic work together, guys. Dude will talk all about Devil's a Part-Timer, but
yep. I watched it again not too long ago. That show is so good, and apparently it might be getting a second season.
Everything's getting a second season now. There's always hope. There's actual hope now. Japan has learned how to count to 2.
Yeah, good for them. It's about time.
Nagasaki.
Does that mean we'll get a Penny and Stocking season 2?
I love that show. I love that show so
Possibly.
much. Although I'm more excited for Dragon Maid season 2 when that finally happens.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one because
that's going to be a rough one. Yeah. It'll happen.
That was confirmed months ago, and that was one of the projects that had all the work that they had done on it burned down with the studio.
Yeah.
But You know.
Hey, Green Day's album that was supposed to be Green Day's album that was supposed to be American Idiot got lost, and then they came back and made American Idiot, and it was their best album ever. So and yes, fight me. As an album, American Idiot is better than Dookie.
I mean, Star Wars had to scrap like a bunch of the original props and shit because of a sandstorm in Tunisia. A lot of stuff got like wrecked in the 70s, and sent George Lucas into a nervous fucking panic attack for the next year and a half. But yeah, like Josh Grohl and Felicia Angel, that's Futuro and Miku in the quintessential quintuplet dub, and they are so good together. So we get this another comedy bit with Ruby and Penny where she's like undercover. I thought that was cute. That was fine.
That was kind of funny. That was a weird accent though. What was that supposed to be?
Lindsay Jones
was she trying to imitate like the spy from? I think I just figured it out. Actually, she was imitating the spy from from Team Fortress probably or something.
I think she was trying to do like a Batman voice, but as Ruby.
It could be you.
That just shows how good of a voice actor Jones is.
He could be in this very room, and he's here to fuck us. God damn it, those Meet the episodes are so good. God.
They're funny. Yeah.
I would pay money for, like, a Team Fortress 2, like cartoon.
I mean, technically that was Team Fortress 2, so Team Fortress 3.
You know what I mean.
So then we got the mission board, and it's actually the Solitas mission board. It's not even called the Atlas. So it's for the entire continent.
Yeah.
Which for all we know could just be the two cities, Atlas and Mantle. We don't know.
I imagine that Solitas is basically like Iceland, where there's the capital, which are basically like that's the two cities combined into one essentially. And like there's a couple other small towns and that's it. But basically almost everybody lives in like the main city and the greater the CSA of that area.
Yeah.
Combined statistical area, sorry. The combined statistical area of that area. Or the metro area, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then the mission, it looks like they might be splitting up. I don't know if they're going to. I think with everything else that's already going on, the pacing is going to grind to a halt if that's the direction they go.
Maybe. I actually think so because this bit had me thinking about something because they pull up their first job thing. Marrow's like, okay, we gotta watch. Or who wants to go on a mission? And everyone shoots their hands up, and then he's like, okay, we got to walk some kids to school so they can, because in Mantle and stuff, it's an important thing to help parents like calm down. Everyone puts their hands down except for Jean, who's just like, crap, and then he gets picked, and then Elma's like,
mission
okay,
comes up.
Yeah, and then Elma's like, okay, we got this mission where there are two saber cats, but she says, we're going to go down into the sewers to fight these saber cats.
We're going to get a sewer level.
Yeah. But so that setup has me thinking that quite possibly in our next episode, we might be getting like for people who've watched Justice League Unlimited will know what I'm talking about. It's like the Booster Gold episode where he spends the entire time where like there's this big
cleaning up the mess.
Yeah, where basically everyone is dealing with it, where the League is all taking on these this giant monster in like the middle of a city. Meanwhile, Booster Gold is put on is put on crowd control and is basically and ends up being way bigger. Or like the Wave arc in Naruto where Jean thinks it's gonna be this really, boring, dull job just watching a bunch of kids, and then it ends up being like really big.
Shows up.
Yeah, like Tyrion shows up to like, I don't know, maybe kidnap Maria Hill's kid or something, and John's.
I like how we're just assuming she has a kid.
I don't know.
I honestly think
we know Maria Hills is going to be in the next episode. We've seen like this. teaser, or not the teaser, but like
the title card.
Yeah, the title card shows that she's gonna be there. So I don't know. I just think it might be kind of funny if it's like everyone else is down in the sewers getting covered in shit, and Jon ends up having this really crazy adventure, runs into Tyrion and stuff like that. Like, hopefully, like I do. Whatever it is, it should definitely move the plot forward and have our characters actually be involved in the plot. But I don't know. That, like, the setup seems like it could be setting up for that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but they've given me reason to be optimistic, and I think it would be.
I'll be honest, I hope Jon's like the one who steps on the Robin Hill landmine. I'd be very okay with this. But yeah.
I mean, again, I like the idea of them splitting up, as I mentioned before, because they need to address interpersonal relationships. Yeah, and this is probably one of the best ways to do it. So
yeah, if that's the direction they go, then I'd be fine with that. I'm just
if
worried
that's what they do.
Basically...
If that's why they do it, then cool. If that's not why they do it, then yeah, I'm gonna be why.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they will, because I'm gonna trust in these writers as of now. Still, so far, they haven't given me a reason to think they suck. So I'm gonna believe that that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And so then we got the final scene with Jacques, Whitley, and Watts, and I gotta say,
Man 9000.
Someone, I think it was someone in the Team Frostbite reactions. I think it might have been Dashi. Mentioned that this is the first, or no, this sounds more like a Raymond thing to bring up. That this is the first time that Whitley has been on screen without Weiss.
Oh.
And look how different he is in this different scenario. He doesn't have Weiss to be the black sheep of the family that he can feign superiority over. It's just him, his dad, and this creepy mustachioed dude with a deep voice who kind of sounds like All Might, which is kind of throwing him off.
Yeah, you sound like someone very awesome, but you are clearly very evil.
Yes.
But yeah, this in my opinion is the best scene in this episode. This scene right here is the closest to like a 10 on 10 we've ever gotten in RWBY, in my humble opinion. The line delivery is good, the shot's good. They don't say a whole lot, but every time they speak, the implication is the relationship between Jock and Watts goes back a long way. Yep. A very long way.
And we know why nobody's saying, hey, do you think Watt is the one who's been sabotaging us? Or at least why nobody said it out loud? Because everyone thinks he's dead. Yep.
Yeah. Watts. So yeah, apparently everyone thinks Watts is dead. He has history with Jacques. He's somehow able to just fucking stroll in through the front door like he owns the
literally
place.
T-poses into the mansion.
Yeah. Just hacked it. Yeah, just hacked everything. Just hacked his security system or something.
Of course, you have the obligatory chessboard in his office. Also, another environmental detail.
That's been there, right?
There's a picture. Yeah, there's a picture on the bookshelf, and Watts actually like looks at. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah. Hold on, I'm rewatching that scene real quick because I just scrolled to a shot where the picture is facing. I think no, that's a different picture, I guess. Yeah, it has to be because he keeps walking for a while before the next shot where you can see the picture is facing away. That picture, if you go back to Volume 4, is a family picture that has Weiss in it.
Yeah. So maybe like, there's one of the little trouble I'm gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, well, no. So the picture was already turned around in like earlier shots before Watts showed up. I was confused. Okay, because there's another picture on that shelf. That kind of looks the same. I thought that was a picture Watts was walking past and looked at. But yeah, in the shot there's the family portrait that is now like turned away, which is totally cliche, by the way. That's totally like fucking bargain basement dime store novel level symbolism, but it's still an environmental detail that the writers decided.
I don't have a problem with it because it is something that somebody would actually do. I wouldn't criticize it as far as saying it's a dime store because it is something a person would actually do. It doesn't matter that it's obvious. It's because people would actually do that. So I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Watts is basically offering Jacques some help with his ironwood problem. I can only assume that he is going to give Jacques some Viagra.
So what?
You cut out. You're
giving him boner pills. Boner pills. Yeah. I heard
every
it.
time.
Oh, some
every
Viagra?
time you I think every single joke media has ever made has been cut off.
Media.
Hopefully it came through on high-powered side.
By his internet
St.
connection.
Louis internet sucks.
He's giving him some okay.
I shouldn't be proud of that one because I totally stole it from, but yeah.
But yeah, probably plans to help him
win the election.
Get rid of Hill, probably also get rid of Ironwood. That's why I'm thinking, maybe the plan is kill Hill, frame Ironwood.
Save him some money because like Jacques says, I'd lay off every single person in Mantle if I didn't need their votes. So with Watts, if Watts like hacks the election and pumps up the votes or changes people's votes, he don't need to keep the Mantle people employed. He can save his bottom line and then get all the votes anyway, and then he'll be one step closer to like getting rid of Ironwood.
Watts Jock dabs as he unzips his army of robot workers.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe. Who knows?
Automation. You would think that an advanced society like this would deal with a lot of automation problems, but that hasn't really been addressed yet. Just another reason why Penny needed to come back.
You see, this is what I like about
this. He's basically an automated huntress.
This is the weird thing about RWBY, where it's both advanced but not advanced at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so advanced that they have robots, but not advanced enough to where they have satellites.
Yeah.
I love anachronistic looks at the future like that, although I wouldn't call this anachronistic. It's just kind of dumb.
I'm still waiting for my
like
Star
Wars. Like Star Wars, for instance. One of my favorite bits of Star Wars is like they have hyperspace technology, laser cannons, space stations that can destroy a planet, but wireless headsets? Nope.
Nice.
Oops.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the episode. I'm
hoping that whatever, I don't know. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for Whitley.
I'm still intrigued.
Yeah. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for Whitley to have some character development. Maybe be like, okay, Dad, I'm sorry, but I draw the line at working with creepy mustachioed men who sound like Vegeta. But
with dark hair. That's the deal breaker.
I'm honestly like
they have dark mustaches.
I'm kind of debating on like what's the over under of like Whitley quote unquote crying wolf to about Watts, or what's the chance that like Watts wants to bring in like Whitley into, or like Jock and Watts want to bring Whitley into like the evil plans.
Yeah, who knows?
Because like they could honestly go either way.
I think if it happens, he'll bring it up to Weiss as like a piece of superiority, like, oh, Dad's gonna win the election because he has special helps from.
He's trusting me with things that he never trusted, that he would have never trusted you with. She's like, the fuck did you do? The fuck
which will cause Weiss and probably Ruby to like find out what's going on and who this Arthur Watts guy is, and they'll connect the dots, hopefully. Again, this whole volume is really turning out to be kind of the volume 5 we never got, because volume 5 didn't happen. Although it did happen because a lot of important plot points got hit in volume 5. They were just really bad.
Yeah. It's the volume 5 we should have gotten, definitely. Yeah.
This episode, like, I like the episode, but it has its problems. There's parts of this episode that I really liked.
I really it's goofy,
liked.
But... Yeah.
But I mean, if they keep up this average of like okay to good episodes, and we're at like, I think we're in good shape. If they just keep this average up, and they just finish really strong, then we'll be like, this is a really fucking good season.
Yeah.
Not JPEG.
I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for next week. Jean getting I don't know, a wave arc type deal. But yeah.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts before we wrap things?
I like the consistency. I like that the show is good. They've had consistency so far. I don't mind some of the jokes that were in this. It's I would call it a setup episode, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I like that Crowe and Ruby talked about what they talked about today, and please, for the love of God, actually address the romantic tension.
Yeah,
like just for the good of the show in general. Like, I do not want this show being like making the same mistakes that stupid animes make.
Okay? Yeah, definitely.
Like, you need to actually address this problem. Speaking of Devil's a part-timer, that was one of like the more annoying. I mean, they kind of addressed it, but not as much as they should have. They need to address it here.
Yeah.
Like, just I think it's a good setup for that, but just pay it off for fuck's sake. And yes, the Jacques Watts scene was amazing. It's definitely one of the better scenes in the show. So that's cool. I'm glad we're getting consistency, and now we've actually got a standout scene like that from these writers too.
Yeah.
From this team right now. So that's awesome. So that makes me really encouraged. This episode wasn't standout as a whole, but that's fine. It had a standout scene, and the rest was good. So just keep it going.
I think this episode was I've kind of come around on it now, talking to you guys about it. I do still think this was probably the weakest episode of the volume so far. Maybe episode 1 was weaker. I'll kind of judge that when we wrap up the volume and I rewatch it in its entirety. But I do know it was not as good as the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. It was, again, a very okay episode. Did we not have any questions from anyone or anything? Or
let me check.
Sorry.
I know we didn't get any emails.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's check Twitter. I don't have any notifications as far as that goes. Let's check the actual post that I made. Let's check YouTube. Probably should have already had this pulled up.
Sorry,
we're professionals.
I wasn't thinking, because I know there wasn't any questions that I saw that stood out to me, but I think we did get 1 or 2 on YouTube.
Okay.
God.
But yeah, no, as far as my overall thoughts, I thought this was a very okay episode. Again, very okay episode, very okay season so far. It's, decent. I understand why they had the thing in Amity Coliseum, and I don't know. I think it's actually kind of fitting that after everything they've been through, the Huntsman licenses are kind of more of a formality, but there's still, a significant one and a significant way of looking back. I think it might have, maybe it would have been nice to have them, like, I don't know, take on some fourth years or something, just to like really prove and nail home the really show us that they're a cut above, any students. But I understand if they didn't have time for that to, animate all that with everything that was going on. So, yeah, a bit of a bummer there, but I like what we had here. So,
first question I'm seeing, Abel Zirahan on YouTube asked, "I'm guessing Ruby's dream in Volume 4 was just nothing. It was a dream, and that's what it always was."
Yes,
it always will be.
It was just a dream. Exactly, you are exactly correct. It was a dream brought on by guilt.
Yeah, because she didn't get there in time to save Pyrrha. Like, she didn't even dream about Penny or Amity Coliseum. She dreamed about Pyrrha dying.
Yeah, exactly. That was always, it was always a dream, and it's,
yeah.
And it was addressed in that same episode, exactly what it was. It was,
Oh, okay. Here's an interesting question.
Okay.
On the note of Ironwood, how much do you think he needs to prove himself to be trusted?
That's a decent question.
I think that is a question that will be answered.
Yeah.
In the next episode or 2, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't think that soon. I think it might take a little longer than that, to be honest.
At least halfway.
Part of the benefit of how much they've been bringing it up is that they can take their time with the repercussions, which again I really think are going to come. They can take their time with the repercussions, and we'll still know that it matters, and it will still hit when it when they do hit. So, yeah. But I do also think that, I don't know, I did think it was kind of interesting when he calls over Clover to have like a private conversation, maybe implying that, maybe there are a few things that he doesn't entirely trust Team RWBY with yet. And so, or maybe just doesn't feel like, there's maybe a couple things he doesn't feel like they need to know necessarily.
Within
so
reason.
I thought, so maybe that's, something that will come up later.
I'm going to check my post. Because that's all the questions I got in the comment section, but I also made a post earlier today. I didn't see any questions on that, but better safe than sorry. Oh, wrong button. 3 comments. Yeah, no questions.
Okay.
So that's it for questions. Reminder that if you have questions regarding the episode, you can comment below on my review when it comes out on Tuesday nights, or you can message me or on Twitter. I do keep track of my Twitter very well. My YouTube comments not as much. I got a lot of comments on this episode. I got almost as many comments as views. No, I definitely had a much. Yeah, I definitely had a higher comment to view ratio than I usually do.
Huh.
A lot of people were talking about the cringe moments and the shipping moments. And so
completely missed the part where you said I like this episode more than I hated it.
Yeah. You can also DM me on Discord if you join the Discord, link in the description. But unless it's a really good question, I might not remember to ask it on the podcast. Other than that, thank you all for watching. If you like this video and want to see more, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification because subscribing doesn't actually do shit. I finished my book. I finished the first draft of my book. I am going to for publishers as I work on the second draft. NaNoWriMo is a resounding success. I think thank you to everyone who helped support that and galvanize my ideas for it in Discord.
With our good and terrible ideas.
Yes. High Powered actually contributed an idea that stuck, as did Coop, who is not here because it's Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah,
you're lucky to be getting this.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
Yeah.
High Powered has got something going on. Coop's not here. Yeah, you're lucky that we're even.
Yeah.
But, I'm still glad to be here though. Also at the same time.
Yes. Follow me on Twitter at EA Mediocrity 4. And support me on Patreon. $10 or more will get you one request or one commission video from me about anything.
There you go.
And so until then, anyone got anything else to plug?
No.
Nope.
All right. Then,
I'm just gonna say what I said last time and address Renora, you assholes. and address Blake. Whatever Blake's love interest crap is, just address it too, please. It needs to.
Yeah.
Don't be an anime.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Blake's like, I miss Sun. The Bumblebee shippers just detonate. There's a thermonuclear detonation.
All the brains explode. Yeah,
that would happen too.
And
they do the whole ReZero thing. I love you. I love Sun.
And I hope everyone has a safe Thanksgiving, because by the time y'all be seeing this, we would be in the past and y'all are in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanksgiving is a lie, but enjoy a time with your friends and family.
Make sure to thoroughly thaw the turkey before you put it in the oil.
Also, turkey is gross. Don't eat turkey. Eat better food.
Like honey ham.
I literally have 2 turkeys in my fridge right now.
Turkey is just dried chicken. Changed my mind.
It is. But if you cook it right, it can be less
very delicious fried chicken.
Oh, yeah. Bon Appetit has got like a really good series about cooking like some Thanksgiving dinner. But yeah, that's about it. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving, or had a good Thanksgiving, and y'all have a good night.